Oh, okay, I think I'm live. As always, these are so intimidating because there's always some kind of technical snafus because the software changes and it's just way outside my comfort zone and sometimes even outside of Stuart's comfort zone, and he's the tech guru. So hello everyone. Hello from Missouri. Hi Terry. Hi Patty. Hi Ian from Surrey in England. Hi, Allie, also from England. Hi, Bev. Good to see you from California. Stacy. Gayla Jean from Georgia. Hey, all of you guys. South Carolina, California. Anyhow, and I think I saw Patty with an I from the trip. It's so good to see all of you. I have not done one of these in ages. And I also know that we gave you very short notice, but I just felt a need to touch base with those of you that did see our notification that I was going to do a live today, because it's been a very chaotic kind of, well, the past couple of months. As you guys know, I just got back from Ireland. It was absolutely fabulous. If any of you went on that trip, make sure to comment here and let everyone know that, hi, Oregon, let everyone know what a fabulous time we had. I think Hubs had an even better time than he did in Scotland, because there were lots of couples, lots of married couples this time, which meant there were more guys. And I think it was fun, and it was so relaxing. Now, we took lots of footage, lots of pictures, but it does take us a while to kind of aggregate it all, to make sense of some of it, to figure out which images came from where, because just the nature of taking those kind of garden tours is, after a while, they just kind of all coalesce in your head, and you have to remember what you found where. But it was just absolutely wonderful, and I'll just share some of my observations. But mostly, I want to answer questions that you guys may have. And yes, it is hot everywhere. So it was really culture shock, or I guess it was climate shock, to come back from Ireland, where it was a good 40 degrees cooler than it is here now. And a lot of you have referenced just how humid it is. And it's very humid here. We had all of that wonderful rainfall early on in the season. And while everything is really green, it's also making everything really humid, just like for those of you that live in the Southeast, like Karen from Alabama and Kay from Tennessee. So I feel your pain when it comes to that humidity. But I was very fortunate. If you are a gardener, you just have to have good gardening buddies who will help you in a pinch, or someone that you can even hire to water for you while you're away. And I did. And thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Kayla, for kind of covering me while I was gone, because it ain't no small feat. I know kind of what needs to be done, but it's very difficult to go into someone else's garden and water. So, Odalis, I don't have my glasses on. Will you be showing clips of the garden you visited in Ireland? Yes, absolutely. We were at Jimmy Blake's garden, June Blake's garden. We went to Airfield, which is a public garden. We went to Powers Court. We went to Cork Lodge. We just went to a number of different places. We also went to, I believe it's Adam Clayton, who is a member of YouTube, and we went to his home in Damesmote. It was just absolutely wonderful. Don't question me on some of those names if I misconstrued them a little bit. Could you recommend a must-see garden in the area? I'm heading to Ireland in a few weeks. Well, I would just, our group, Garden Gate Magazine, made these arrangements in advance. So I'm not sure how many of these you can just go in and see, but I would definitely just kind of Google them. And in fact, I'll be right back, because I want to show you one. So this is a book from one of the gardens. It is Grounded in the Garden by TJ Mayer. And this is one of the gardens I believe you can see. And I would just encourage you to Google that if you're going to Ireland. It was funny. We walked in and he said, Linda. And I guess the owner of this garden knew me, and I had corresponded with him in the past. I'm going to try to get him to do a video tour of his own garden, in addition to what images and video that we took while we were there. But it's just a magnificent garden, and the use of color in these different locations, I don't know if it was, and it's probably both. They're absolutely brilliant use of color in their borders, in their perennial borders, but also it was just that soft Irish misty light that made everything just pop. Would that I could grow dahlias like they grow them there. They were just incredible. So we'll be showing lots of those things, and I'll be sharing with you some of my try this at homes that I took away from there in the way of plants, but in the way of all sorts of things. I found, and this is, maybe I'll do a little personal challenge for all of us here. And that was one of the most interesting takeaways, was not from one of the gardens. It was from one of the interiors of a home that we went through. And it was a furniture arrangement. And I took an image of that furniture arrangement and kind of replicated it here in the parlor. And that was fun. It was just a novel way of arranging the seating area around the fireplace I wouldn't thought about. So it's just always a matter of, I think, being attentive, and when surrounded by that much beauty, not being overwhelmed by it, so that you can deconstruct it and find out what it is that you can bring home and that you can really, really translate in some way to your own landscape. What else do we have here? We've got Pat from Central Illinois, Rhonda from Illinois. I mean, just so many people. Good afternoon, all. The feels like temp here is 117. That's from Stacy Jackson. I kind of feel like it feels that way here too. But I will say this, as beautiful as it was there, as beautiful as the gardens were, as lovely as the weather was, though it did rain a lot, I really missed the sun. And that made me realize that I guess I am a child from Oklahoma. I'm a citizen of Oklahoma now, because I really missed those gorgeous blue skies and the sunshine and the warmth, not the heat, not the intense heat, but definitely the warmth. Netherlands, Texas. Hello, everybody. Oh, from Germany, from Houston. Martin, you have Ireland on your bucket list. Martin, Martin House Flowers. This was the third time Hubs and I had been there. And each time we went, we kind of tried to do different things. But the thing that we did on our own, in addition to all the magnificent gardens, was we went to the National Museum of Archaeology, and it was so unbelievable. We saw the Bog Man. We saw lots of history, over time. And it once again is a reminder when you're there just how short our history here in the States is. Versus everything that has gone on over there. It was just really incredible. So that was fun. We went to the Art Institute of Ireland. That was wonderful. Stuart's asking for you guys to submit some questions. Hellos are great, but we want some questions too, you guys. Yes, I will be showing clips of gardeners that we visited in Ireland. Oh my goodness, 100 degrees in North Carolina. Yes, Stuart did put up a lot of videos, older videos. I tried to do an opening to those, saying that those were older videos. But the thing is, we have so many new followers and so many new subscribers that what may be old hat to you is new to them. And to kind of, I think, be a real member of the community here, you kind of need to know the trajectory of of where the cottage garden came from, its evolution, but also where I was before that at the fairy tale house. So I think a lot of that translates. Did you get your earrings in Ireland? No, Bev, I got these actually in the Metropolitan Museum of Art when we were in New York City with John and Craig and Hubs. I got these there. But did I get a pair of earrings from Ireland? Yes, I did. And yes, they came from one of the museums, the archaeological museum. So I'll be wearing those and showing those off. What has grown most in your garden while you were away? Okay, what a great question, because I was astonished. It must have been because of all the rain. I expected to come back, and with the intense heat, I expected all of those glorious, the hedges of hydrangeas, I expected those to be mostly brown. I expected, and some of them are definitely browning. It is, the summer is aging, but I could not believe how much stuff had grown. I couldn't believe how much the hydrangeas had grown, how much some of the boxwoods had grown. And I guess that's thanks to all of the rain that we had earlier in the season. Other things like the lantana, which I was waiting to take off, some of the basils, it just needed that heat to really kick in. One thing I have noticed is that I did not plant nearly as much lantana as I did last year, and I kind of regret it. So I may be having to add more when the temps are a little bit more amenable to planting, or at least some in pots, because I will be hosting that fundraising garden tour in October. I want to say it's October 4th, but I could be wrong. I will definitely keep you guys in the loops on that. In the loop on that. What was your favorite thing you did on your trip to Ireland? I honestly, well, first of all, it's always the people. I mean, it was just meeting so many absolutely wonderful people and connecting with them, sharing our stories, how much we all had in common, how beautifully everyone got along together. It was really not that people don't normally, but it was really a special group of people who just connected immediately. But one of my favorite things, I think, of all the stuff that we saw and all the stuff that we did, was one day Hubs and I were just walking through St. Stephen's Park in Dublin, and the weather was just beautiful, and it was just the two of us, and it was quiet, and there were some fabulous statues there. And I remember thinking, this is a special moment, and hold on to it, because we don't have the opportunity to do that too much. So that was really fun. But I think overall, my favorite thing was just the connections. It was just the people, and it was fabulous. Gerber daisies thrive in Western South Carolina and rebloom every year. They're great cut flowers. I've never heard you mention them. Do they grow well in Oklahoma? Sandra, I have not had really great luck with them. In the Southern Living Plant Collection, they've got some that are ostensibly perennial, but they don't always perennialize here. And they just, once it gets really, really hot and dry, they just don't seem to perform as well. What I do use them a lot for is in cut flowers, because you can always find them as beautiful cut flowers at Trader Joe's and different florists. And the colors are just so incredibly vibrant. So maybe I need to give them a try again. That's one thing. I'm all about trying different things now, especially things, if you guys have any recommendations for me, especially things in red for the back, because I am continue to groove on that red and green vibe in the back. It's so rich. It's so gorgeous. I'm starting to introduce a little bit of gold, but let me know if you've got some red flowers. I did think one thing on the trip that I might try, though I may not have enough kind of constant sun, and that's crocosmia. I might want to try some of that, some lucifer. Hi, Linda. What are the top 3 things you'll take from Bunny Williams' garden? Thank you for your great content, from Tracy in England. How kind. I think it is listening to your landscape. I have always talked a lot about good gardening fit and what fits with the architecture of your home, the geography where you live, the history of where you live. And what really stuck out to me was how brilliantly Bunny Williams does that, to the extent that even her place was a reflection and a continuation and good fit with the charming village that was Falls Village, Connecticut. So I think that was one thing, that the way you garden should be consonant with the space in which you live. I think number 2 was I was struck by how philosophical she was about certain things, about that once she's gone, the garden, she's not placing it in the garden conservancy, that she created it for herself, and that her priority was that when people visit her garden now, that they take things away for themselves, take away ideas, take away things of that nature as educational value. And I think that really hit me, that our gardens, as much as we love to share them, first and foremost should be for ourselves. And she said she did it as basically as an act of love, I think, for herself and creating beauty. On a more specific note, for me, again, try this at home. For me, it was some of the ways that she was growing purple oxalis in pots, her figs, how she had some of her figs done, the placement of some of her pots. And I was particularly struck by the rhythm and repetition of the long rectangular pots that she had at the top on the wall of her sunken garden. And we will be showing you those. They were magnificent. I love the composition of the pots. I love the way they framed the sunken garden. I just loved everything about them. So those were probably 3 things. Question: did your topiary stay outdoors while away? Yes, they all did, including all of my myrtle topiaries, and they just thrived because myrtle topiaries really love this heat, as do all of my eugenia. That was another thing that grew while I was gone. And here is a big tip for you guys. If you, right now is the time that you're likely to see eugenia topiaries in different garden centers at a really inexpensive price point. And I would definitely, I'm checking here, I need to check something here from that they're at such a good price point. And the ones that I got years ago for just a few dollars are some of the most formidable, prominent, statement-making, dramatic things growing in my garden right now. Stuart, we need to maybe do an image of my garden and then selectively take out the mammoth eugenia topiaries that I've set into the ground in the front to show you just how much of a contribution they make. And and sometimes they may look like hell. I mean, when they sometimes come out of the greenhouse, they don't look so good, but boy, they love this heat and they respond to heat, sunlight, water, and some feeding. And I've got some more that are starting to really put on size and scale. I say mine are the ones I have in front are as big and as breathtaking as some that Martha Stewart has in her own gardens. How's the strip at the grass of the side of your house coming along? Was Kayla able to get rid of most of the grass? We are in process, and I will be showing you. We put black tarp over it to really solarize it, to try to kill out those Bermuda roots. And so I am assuming it is doing its thing, because we're not watering it. We're not we're starving it of light and any kind of attention. So that is a bed that I'm really excited about to introduce this fall. And I'm hoping we'll be working on that in September before the garden tour in October. So if you can come by, that would be great. It's, obviously a great cause, but also I would love to visit with some of you. You might want to make a little field trip to Oklahoma. One of the things that I've noticed this year is the number of people who very kindly have visited Oklahoma City for the first time and primarily to come by and see the garden. I have visited with so many of you. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this live today, was to thank you for making your little pilgrimages to my tiny garden and visiting with me. It flatters me no end, and I've made some great friends. But the new flower bed, I have identified lots of things in the garden right now that are looking too crowded, as I suspected they would, and I'll be able to steal from Peter to pay Paul over there, and then I'll be playing with the color. Boy, it's hard for me to beat these white hydrangeas that I've got going. So, tell me your thoughts on that. Should I just continue with that theme of the white hydrangeas, or should I try some different kinds of things? The thing about those hydrangeas from Southern Living is, and I have Moondance and White Wedding, they are just so easy. Unlike white roses, unlike any other kind of blooming shrubs that need to be deadheaded a lot, boy, these hydrangeas are easy, and they can handle more sun than you think, and they're more drought tolerant once they get established than you think. Question, because Ireland has lots of rain, do they have the problem of mold and mildews and powdery mildew on plantings? That is going to be addressed by a fabulous gardener named Nuala, who she and her husband had the best scientific explanations for almost anything, including powdery mildew. And they address that, and they talk about some of its causes. I did not see a lot of it. I think partly because they don't have the heat that we do. I did see some, but not a lot. It's probably also because of the selections and the way they planted their borders. One thing for me is I just don't have really good air circulation, and mostly there, I think they have a little bit better air circulation, and just heat. They just don't have the heat that we have. So I think that makes a difference. Oh, this is, I'm trying to remember. I think where was this from, Stuart? Well, you don't know where this was from. We visited so many gardens, and a lot of them had glass houses. This is a marvelous one. And a lot of the glass houses, this was probably from Nuala's garden in, I want to say, Argan. It's in a very high elevation in Ireland on a peninsula. And so they are not only great gardeners, but they are great plant collectors. The other thing is, what was very interesting to me was how they really try to garden on the margins everywhere. It would not be unusual to see a palm tree growing next to some cordylans from Australia or whatever, because even though it was chilly for me there when we were there, it doesn't freeze very often, and the temperatures are really temperate. So yeah, Stuart's starting to put up some of those things. Oh, here's another great takeaway that reminds me of this. I want to grow more tall phlox, but also I want to try growing Ostromeria, because the combos they had, particularly of this orange and red variety here, was so incredible. And I'm thinking maybe I need to try to grow that in some pots. And if it's not frost hardy, then I'll just put it in the greenhouse and then plant it in its pot into the ground. So that was another thing. The other thing that was interesting to me is it's all about attracting pollinators, as you would expect. It's all about gardening as organically as possible, as you would expect. But interestingly, not so much, they're not so captivated by natives like we are. I mean, natives are great, but they're more concerned just about attracting pollinators, and natives, if they work, fine. If not, fine. That's fine with them too. They aren't That's not as much of a gardening trend over there as it is here. Another takeaway from me was this red bench. Stuart is just intuiting which images to put up here. I loved this red bench, and tell me if you agree. I think I need some red piece of furniture in the back somewhere. A red wooden chair. I just need something red. And I'm going to incorporate that because it's a pop of color. You know, I love my red geraniums, but it's so hot right now that the red geraniums aren't blooming that heavily. So a pop of red in the way of furnishings, a permanent garden ornament would be great. That next picture that Stuart had up, the other thing, oh my gosh, the hydrangeas there, hydrangeas, however you pronounce them in your neck of the wood, were unbelievable. And in so many places, this was a very neat effect. They would grow them on the banks of canals or rivers, and then there would be this wonderful reflection of them in the water. The other thing was they just seemed to keep blooming and blooming and blooming, and they had a confluence of bloom there with things that would never bloom simultaneously here. Our perennials tend to come into bloom, they fade, something else comes into bloom, it fades, and it's very staggered. There, because their weather is just so amenable to gardens in general, everything comes into bloom and stays in bloom. So they can have planting combos that are uncharacteristic here in the States. Let's see. Yes, Stuart did a great job putting up those videos, and I so appreciate it. South Carolina, Georgia, Kennebunkport, Maine. Nancy, by the way, Hubs and I did go to Kennebunkport a number of years ago, where George Sr., I think he had a home in George Bush Sr. had a home in Kennebunkport. Absolutely loved it. It was so charming. Loved that whole seaside experience. Love Maine, love Vermont, love that whole area. Hey, Morrison, Colorado. Yeah, Indiana, I understand. I've been talking to my sibs, relentlessly hot and humid there. Probably in Missouri too. Stuart wants to know more questions. How do you keep your grass on your front slope from scorching in this heat? Can't keep my grass alive on my slope no matter what I do. I'm going to guess it's partly, Doris, because number one, we had so much rain in spring. And because of that, it's still staying pretty hydrated, and I do irrigate it. Part of it also is a grass that performs very well on that exposure, but that has its issues, and that's Bermuda. And the Bermuda just really likes the heat if you can, and will really stay green if you can get enough water on it, though often it goes kind of dormant, and you really have to watch that it doesn't go crazy and escape the confines of where you want to have turf and not go into the flower beds. So I have to be vigilant about it. But I think that's why. It is because it gets full sun, no shade whatsoever, and it's Bermuda that just likes the heat. What else in the world would you like to visit? Interesting gardens that you haven't been. I would love to go to Australia there and New Zealand. There are some really wonderful gardens down there that I have seen on Instagram that I think are fabulous. And some of those hot locations might resonate a little bit more with those of us in Oklahoma because it also gets extremely hot there. Also, some gardens in South Africa, I think would be just amazing. I would love to see those. Well, you know, I'm pretty much equal opportunity. Gardens everywhere speak to me. I would love, I have not seen enough gardens in California. I mean, I was in La Jolla last year. I did some speaking there and did some garden tours, and I loved it. But I want to see some more of the other gardens. I have not been to Filoli. I mean, there's just a number of gardens there that I have not seen. I still haven't seen Beth Chatto's garden. There's just a number. So, but the gardens that tend to be more Mediterranean, more gravel type gardens, I'm particularly interested in now. I got a Eugenia topiary this summer, have trimmed it once and it needs it again, but is it too hot to do that now? Heavens, no. That's one thing. You can really continue to feed it. You can continue to to trim it. The more you trim it, the more it will respond, and you just go for it. I had one myrtle topiary, and they're all kind of in the same family. I had one myrtle topiary that had completely lost all its leaves. It was distressed. I'm not sure why, but I could tell it was still alive. So I cut it back very, very hard. There was nothing but bare branches. And I just fed it and watered it, and now it's coming back. So in a Wednesday walkabout, I'll show that one to you. Some other gardens that I still want to see are lots of the gardens back east that my friend John and I just couldn't get to, and Stuart and I couldn't get to. I want to see Christopher Spitzmiller's. I want to see. Oh, I just watched a fascinating documentary on Edith Wharton. So I definitely want to see the Mount. I want to see her gardens, and I would highly encourage you to watch that. I'm going to reread Age of Innocence because I'm really fascinated about the whole Gilded Age now. So I really have been watching lots of history on that. So a number of the Paige Dickey's, we didn't get to see Paige Dickey's. I want to go to Atlock Farm and see their topiaries. I want to go back to Orangerie and see their topiaries. There's just a whole bunch of them. Totally off topic. Hi, Rhonda. When is Taylor due with her baby? Well, I have definitely been in baby mode. I was on the phone with both my boys for a good period of time this morning. Sundays are the day I talked to Johnny in Singapore for almost an hour each Sunday. And then I FaceTimed with Jamie and Taylor this morning because they are making progress in the nursery, and they were asking for some input on where they wanted to hang some shelves and just some different things. And they were having such a good time. It just, oh my gosh, it just made my heart sing. It was so joyful. Taylor's getting pretty big, you guys. And the baby, I think I shared with you from the last sonogram, it has a big head. So she's going to be induced on September 19th. And I could not be any more excited. And it's just so fun. And, jump in here, you guys, because Freudian slip. Oh, Hub says hello. Hello. Yes. Yes. We had such a great time. And obviously I can't wait to see the baby. I cannot wait to see the baby. I am going to defer to Taylor's mom we'll be there for the birth, but immediately after the birth, because their house is nice size, but it's not huge. I'll probably defer to Taylor's mom to help immediately right after that. And then I'll go back and pinch hit a little bit later. But I am desperate to see the baby, but I'm equally as desperate to see my son as a father and to see him absolutely go gaga. Because he's been saying it's going to be all about Danny and Jamie. It's going to be all about me and my girl. Him and his girls. I think Goose is getting excited. Goose definitely knows something is going on because Taylor said Goose has been so cozy, so in need of affection from her, and just really curious about her big belly. So it's just a joyful thing. Are you going to be speaking anywhere for the rest of the year? Probably not for the rest of the year because I've got some things going. I take that back. I'll probably be doing some local book signings. Stuart, right here, can we put up a little commercial? Stuart's been texting me while we're doing this. Can we put up a little commercial about my book that's coming out in October? I'm so excited. Garden Inspired Living. I really encourage you guys to pre-order it. You can get it pre-order from your local bookstore, pre-order from wherever you buy your books online, from Amazon or whatever, because it's completely different from something I've done before. And I'm really excited about it. And we'll be doing some giveaways on it. I need to talk to my publisher this week about some of the things we'll be doing. So if you are around the country, you want to have a book signing there, you know of a location where we could have a book signing, then by all means, please let me know. And if you think there's enough people there so that I wouldn't be signing books by myself at the local bookstore, I'll see what I can do to arrange book signings in the coming year to get to your neck of the woods. And then I am having that garden tour in October, and then I am having a grandbaby in September. And let's see. So Sandra says, my sunshine ligustrum is growing too tall. Should I wait to cut it back and shape differently? It's 100 degrees here now. I would wait a little while. It can really handle the heat, but mine is getting a little overgrown too. And I'm going to wait until at least gets below 90. And plus, I don't want to be doing that much trimming right now in the heat anyway. It's too hot. So I would wait a little bit more, and I'll be doing lots of pruning, lots of trimming, lots of puffing, and grooming before the big garden tour in October. I would like your input also, and put them in here, because obviously the theme, the color for October is going to be Pink October. So I'm going to be using lots of pink flowers, pink annuals and things that'll speak to that period of time. Will you be called Grandma, or I'm a new Nana, my grandson is 7 months old? Well, I have announced that it's going to be J-Pa and Lenny. And Lenny has family history to me, because growing up, my parents called me Skinny Lenny. My brothers and sisters call me Lenny. So I think that's what I want to be called. Now, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, my younger son Jamie is very particular about a lot of things, aesthetically and familially. And he said he wasn't sure about Lenny, because that reminded him too much of me when I was a kid, and he didn't know. And I said, well, it may not be up to either of us. It may be up to Danny. But that remains to be seen. You guys are going to probably go on this. But I first of all, I will not be called Grandma, because I don't like Grandma, and I don't like Granny. And we had too many Momos, Mamus, Mimas, all of that in our family in the past. I think that would be too confusing. But ironically, and again, you guys are probably going to roll your eyes, but ironically, when Goose, we've had our grand dog Goose for so long, and to Goose, I have been Grandmama. And so little Jamie said he kind of likes Grandmama. So I don't know. We'll see. But that's something that evolves over time. And, it also humbles us. We don't have as much control as we think. While shaping new boxwood, is it counterproductive to keep trimming the new growth to establish its form? It feels so painful to trim off the beautiful new growth. How often should I? I would say when you're establishing form, even in this heat, if you have a real strong outlier, unless you're wanting to create a second tier, a second ball on a poodle or something like that, then I would encourage you to go ahead and clip those off, because if you're trying to make a boxwood ball, it's all about establishing form, and establishing form is lots of clipping and lots of pruning to establish that form and get it to bush out and be thick. So I would say outliers, go ahead and clip them off. It's what I do on those that are getting established, but also on my new ones. And by the way, I'm amazed we have over 600 people tuning in here. I thought we would have far less, since it's not technically gardening season right now, and because we didn't give you guys much notice. 3 years ago, you mentioned the Vitex tree is one that did well in Mediterranean type climate. I planted a specimen with my dear mother watching from the porch. It's now almost 5 feet. Oh, Karen, that's wonderful. I do love it. It does well in the heat. We have lots of them. We have lots of them in our park. I love pruning them up, exposing the architecture of them. I like their seed heads. I like them before they bloom and when they bloom, and it's in that color palette that I really like. In Germany, I would be Oma. And my next door neighbor, actually, in Crown Heights, she was from a German family, and she called herself Oma. So I don't know. By the way, let me ask you, I wonder what Spanish is for grandmother, because on Taylor's side of the family, and I'm not sure what her mom, what Liz is going to be called. Liz will make a fabulous grandmother. What it is. Try saying LV, accent on the V for grandmother name. LV, LV. Okay, that's interesting. You know, and a lot of times I call myself LV. And when I was on Channel 4, that's interesting. Is that Denise? Because when I did Channel 4 for years, and I need to go back and do Channel 4. I haven't done it in a long time. Abuelo. Oh, that's pretty. That's very pretty. On Channel 4, I was LV. I was Linda V, and Linda Kavanaugh was LC. So it was LV and LC. So a lot of times I refer to myself as LV. And interesting, when I was also in my pre-professional life, in the business world, I sometimes went by LV. So there's some history there. I've always thought it would be wonderful to visit France and tour gardens there. Have you considered going there? Yes. And what an absence of mine to not say France, partly because in some ways, maybe I think I've already been there, because there's a possibility that next year with Garden Gate, they're going to do a tour in Normandy. And so because of that, maybe that's why I didn't mention any of those gardens. That maybe in my head, I've already kind of assumed that I've been there. So absolutely. And I'm also interested in lots of courtyard gardens in Paris. I still haven't been to lots of courtyard gardens in Charleston, in Savannah. I want to see those. I want to see some of the more intimate gardens. I'd love to see more intimate gardens in Santa Fe. I'd love to see Jill Sharp's garden. There's a number that I would like to see, and I'm gonna just keep working on it. But it's amazing, as I have discovered here from starting this second small garden, that as I have found, as you can tell from my new garden bed that I'm getting ready to put in, there are more opportunities than we realized in small gardening. Oh, and another thing, I loved this at Nula's garden. One of the last gardens, she had a whole, she said some would call this a container garden, but she says, I call it a container landscape. And indeed it was very reminiscent of Klaus Dalby's work. And she said, because she not only wants to show off her obviously her in-ground garden, but also this container garden, because so many of us garden in smaller venues, in courtyard gardens, on terraces, on things. And it was just such a brilliant observation on her part, and they were color coordinated, all in terracotta, and she talked about that some. And so I'll mention that a little bit more as I do a tour of her garden with you. And so I think that could be kind of fun. And in fact, tell me if you guys think this might be fun. So Stuart and I have wanted to do something where there's a premiere and I watch it with you. And so obviously we would produce it, we would put it up, and then we could all watch together. We could get out our popcorn, we could get out our sodas, we could get out our glass of wine, whatever, and we could all watch them. We could all watch it together. And I think that could be a ton of fun. When is the garden tour, Linda? It is in October. Hold on. Let me check and see right here if I've got it on this calendar. Just be patient with me here. I should know this off the top of my head, but I tend to live week to week. Garden tour for free. Yeah, Saturday the 4th. And I think, I'm not sure how, this says 11 to 12. I'm not sure if that time is firm, and it may still be open to negotiation, depending on the weather and stuff. We may still be resolving some of that. They might be doing it in shifts, because when I did the one for Impact Oklahoma, there were so many people here. and the spaces can be kind of tight and kind of intimate. So but put down October 4th if you want to come and visit and see the garden. The Miltmore in Asheville has beautiful gardens. Oh, they do. And I've actually visited those gardens on a couple of different occasions. They are fabulous. They have fabulous borders. Give me some more suggestions on gardens that I need to see. And, not just on both coasts, some interior gardens that I probably need to see too. Did you find any new plants that you need to try? Yes, I did. And I'm going to be putting a list together. I still haven't put together my list from my visit to White Flower Farm, and I'm getting ready to do that. I still need to do that. And then as I continue to look, I took lots of screenshots of different pictures, and I'll try to be putting together a comprehensive list, but that'll be probably a little bit closer to fall because it's just not planting time right now. And I'll be doing that. I will also, by the way, be selecting my tulip bulbs for this fall. And that might be another thing. Let me know if you want to do a Linda Vater Live where I share with you what tulip bulbs, and then Stuart could put the images of them up on screen, what colors I'm planning to do this fall, because now's the time to order. I do order them from colorblends.com. Give them a big shout out. And you want to order early so that your favorite varieties don't sell out. So Stuart, let's make a note that we might want to do that sooner rather than later, so that those of you that are my followers, that you can get in early and get your order in early. And I know my daughter-in-law Taylor is going to be doing that. So we'll definitely want to do that. I want to tell you about a great new friend that I've made. One of the best things about gardening is the way it connects you to different people. And this weekend, I met the loveliest young woman. Her name was Devi. She is a 20-year-old Juilliard student who plays the piano just, oh my goodness, it's a work of art just listening to her. And Stuart, we need to put up, in fact, I don't know if Stuart, you can put it up on the screen, but if you could share her Instagram account on screen, that would be great. If not, just go to the community tab and I will be sharing it in an upcoming video on YouTube. But oh my goodness, is she talented. And she is so well-spoken. She comports herself so beautifully. She is so composed, probably being used to being on stage. We just hit it off. We have so many things in common. And her connection to Oklahoma is that a cousin of hers lives just around the corner from me. And so she was here visiting and she wanted to come by and see the garden. So they stopped by. She came by several times. We visited, we shot a little segment together. And I think she's going to be a New York City contributor for me. And she's going to be contributing some content because she loves the things we love to do. She loves to cook. Her folks live in Connecticut. I am going to introduce her to my friend, John. I think you guys will just love her. And she reminds me a little bit of a younger Leah. She's just 20, but boy, she is so mature for her age. And she has such a sense of style and a strong aesthetic sense. But most importantly, she just has a strong sense of community and strong family ties. And she was working on some genealogy stuff while she was here. So, but I digress, but I can't wait to introduce you to her. And I will be doing that. Do you guys have any other questions for me? We've got 10 minutes remaining and I want to answer as many questions as possible. But I also want to give you kind of a preview. Let me see, will you be going on sabbatical in August like last year? No, I won't be. I've got way too much stuff to share with all of you. I'm going to try to get back on our regular Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday schedule. Thank you all for being so patient with me. But we we're kind of in a transition mode where I'm traveling to more places, shooting more gardens, interviewing more people. I am going to be doing more podcast type conversations with people. And and so because of that, our schedule, we have not been consistent, and I apologize for that. We're going to try to get back. So no, I will not be. So typically August is a month when I don't have as many viewers. So if you guys would help me out with that, if you would really share our content, because again, it's not just about garden, it's garden inspired living, or it's about garden inspired living and all that goes with it. I'm going to be doing, and in fact, here's a tease, and then Stuart put that question back up there because I didn't get to read it. In August and in September, I'm going to do a whole great big thing on get to know yourself better, get to know ourselves better. I'm going to be sharing tons of quizzes that we can take to help us discern what our personal style is, what our gardening style is, what our decor style is, what kind of books we like to read, what kind of content we like to consume, what kind of movies we like to consume, ways that we can know ourselves better from a personality standpoint, from our strengths and our weaknesses. And it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be very interactive. There's going to be tons of content that we're going to put up there. I'm going to try to resurrect my newsletter, but it's going to be so fun. I'm going to finally share all those health and beauty things, makeup tips, get ready with me, all of that kind of stuff. Question, what are the few takeaways from your recent trips regarding garden-inspired living outside of the actual gardens that you will incorporate into your life? A lot of them have to do with entertaining. My friend John gave me lots of entertaining tips. The other thing is this is a concept I'm kind of playing with, and that is to ritualize routine. And I found that in Ireland, that was the case, that some routines were ritualized. And I also got that from that wonderful book that I read that I have told you about, A Year in Kiltumper by Niall Williams, a new author I have discovered, and I just can't get enough of him. And also Anne Lamott is a huge fan of his as well. So that speaks to that. But ritualizing the routine. And by that, I mean, I remember when Hubs and I went to Africa, we would, on our safari, we would have like afternoon tea. And I used to do that kind of religiously. I would take some time in the afternoon to have my tea and just take a quiet moment. And I just haven't done that. Well, now it's the heat of the afternoon. I can't be out there gardening. And so I think that I'm going to reinstitute that. And I encourage all of you to do it with me also, because, oh my goodness, one thing that garden inspired living that I started doing that I've not done before, and that is drinking milk in my tea. And I really realized how much I am just an Irish breakfast tea lover. And I try other kinds of teas, but I realize that's my favorite, not Earl Grey, not some other stuff. That's my favorite. And I'm going to start ritualizing that in the afternoon, maybe with some clotted cream, with a little dark chocolate in the afternoon, which I think is very beautiful. I did one of those things today, and that is I made a huge flower arrangement based on what was at its best in the garden right now. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue I got a lot of entertaining tips from some of the people that had their tours open for Garden Conservancy, and I'm going to be sharing some of those. But a lot of it related to entertaining and also kind of dressing, some interesting things on dressing. And how to dress in the garden. So I'm going to be sharing lots of that with you. Will you be doing a tour of the back end of Roger and his group staging area with the outdoor fireplace and the blue slag glass? You said you would make a second video of the back end. I will try to do that. Yes, I will definitely try to do that. And one of my things and my challenges to kind of get through the dog days of summer, which is a title for a video that's going to come up, 10 things we can do to refresh ourselves in the dog days this summer. And that is to reconnect with old friends and mostly because of scheduling. Roger and my friend John and I just could not get together this year. And or as we have, but not as much as I would like. And I want to do that. I want to reconnect with them because it's just been a busy year and I want to do that. And so I will. So thank you for the reminder. I'm going to look on here and give some shout outs. Hot and humid Delray Beach in Florida. I bet. Hot and humid in the Northeast. Oh, thank you, Tara. Tara says I was missed in West Virginia. Did I get my ear? Oh, I already answered that. What plants that you saw there do you wish you could grow in Oklahoma heat? I'm trying to grow Mondalias. I'm really trying. Lady's mantle, I adore lady's mantle. I just can't seem to grow it here. I'm going to try the Ostromeria. I'm not sure if it'll be successful or not, but maybe I can find a microclimate. And obviously, you know, they had some things like delphinium that's just in my daydreams. Hello, Pennsylvania. Wow, you're under a heat advisory in southern Minnesota, Shalane. Oh my goodness, it is hot everywhere. Where are your top performing annuals and perennials for summer of 2025? It's pretty much my consistent list. And that is lantana. I didn't plant enough of it. I wish I would have planted more perennials. This year, I planted more that's performing very well, but it requires more deadheading, and that's Angelonia, really performing well. And I did plant more purslane this year. That did well. My Calibracoa did well. Million Bells did well for a while, but then it just got too steamy for them, and they kind of bit the dust. But perennials, basically all the sedum, autumn joy, all of the salvias did tremendously well. The penstemons did tremendously well. What else has done well in the garden? All of my basils have done well, and I consider them to be an ornamental. I'll be sharing with you updated images of my boxwood basil. My pincushion flowers, and that's a new one I want to try. There's different varieties of scabiosa that I definitely want to try that are taller growing and more maroon, and I want to try some of those. My cosmos, I would say it's so. It's put on lots of foliage, but not as much flower head as I would like. I think maybe that has to do with the heat. So that's some of them. Let me see, what do I have in this flower arrangement here? Let me see if I can show you my flower arrangement here. It's probably not lit to its advantage. Can any of you see that? I've got a candle lit here. I'm taking, coleus. Coleus is also a good performer. And I'm taking tons and tons of cuttings of my coleus in the backyard because I want lots and lots of pots of coleus for the garden tour. The zinnias are doing well. And I've got lots of seed heads in there. So that's kind of what's doing well. Did I happen to have any ancestry in Ireland? I don't have a lot, but Hubs has a lot, and my second mother had a lot. So Hubs' grandmother was a O'Shaughnessy, and my second mother's maiden name was Fitzgerald. So both of them have a lot of Irish ancestry. Let me see here. I saw something else that I would love to see their pot planting. I will show it to you. What is Kayla's recipe for the grass fungicide? I will ask her. I know she pinch hit for me, and I'm gonna also tell me your thoughts on this. I did not tour any castles, Betsy. I just didn't have the time, but I would have loved to. But I'm thinking about trying if she can fit it into her schedule. And that is an Ask Kayla segment, and Ask Kayla about, different questions that she has. So tell me your thoughts on that. Tell me in the community tab. I'm going to be following up with some questions in the community tab, but also send them to me because I'll try to answer some of those, not only here in our next Linda Vater live and in different forums, but also when I answer some questions in my next video. So we are going to, this may have to serve as a video for tomorrow. We didn't get one up yesterday because we just had too many things going in and out. There will be a regular video coming up this afternoon from another garden, Michael Trapp's garden that I saw in Connecticut that was absolutely incredible. I can't wait for you to see it. You definitely need to tune in. And Stuart is about finished editing that, and we're going to try to put that up today. If you would, you guys, please make sure to share. If you're not a subscriber, please make sure to subscribe, share this content. I just so appreciate your support. Every once in a while, I get, complaints about, oh, too many commercials, that kind of thing. But you guys, I so appreciate you realize that you can consume all of this content for free. And that's partly because of those commercials that you see coming up. It is not inexpensive, especially now that we're traveling. It is not inexpensive for us to put up this content, and your support, your views, your kindness, your community, your sense of support really means a lot to us. So thank you. Thank you. And right now, probably one of the biggest ways you can show your support is just to share this content with others and encourage them to watch, because we've got lots of exciting stuff coming up and I cannot wait to share it with you. It's garden inspired living, hopefully at its best. And pretty soon that's going to include a little grandbaby. So much to look forward to. Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you at our next Linda Vater Live, which will probably be maybe the last part of August. So we will see you then. Take care.